Yeah, it's like that, I mumbled under my breath. See if y'all be laughing then. I felt something lightly rest on my shoulder. I looked to see Quessie's hand with a $50 bill in it. For you, my brother, Quessie said in his African accent. Thanks. I took the bill out of Quessie's hand. At least one of you was raised right, I added sarcastically. Dude, we're all struggling college students, Crush chimed in from the back. What do you expect? Yeah, besides, Tony said, turning to look at Quessie, if my granddaddy's face was on the money in my country, I'd be generous too and whip out $50. He nodded towards Quessie. Oh, coming to America, motherfucker. This time, even I joined in the laughter. That was a good one, I said to Tony. But even if your granddaddy was Bill Gates, you wouldn't chip in a dime because you're a... We all turned to Tony and in unison said, cheap-ass bastard. Tony gave us the finger, just like he always did. He could dish it out, but he couldn't take it worth shit. F all y'all, Tony said. F all y'all, Crush mocked in a feminine voice, letting Tony know he was being a baby. It didn't matter how many times we clowned Tony about being cheap, he always caught an attitude. I would have thought he'd be used to it by now, since for the last 4 years at school, that's all we ever did was call him out for being so stingy. Tony, Crush, Quessie, and I always had each other's backs. But whenever it was time to come up off some money, that's where Tony drew the line. I couldn't remember that last time he chipped in on a pizza or paid for a round of beers. But you best believe he was always full and had his thirst quenched before the night was over. Yeah, he was cheap all right, despite having 2 part-time jobs, but then again, I tried to remember where he'd come from. Tony was raised by a single mother in Brooklyn's Marcy projects. He had 2 brothers who were Bloods gang members, but he busted his ass and made it to Howard, where he was about to graduate with honors in accounting. Cheap or not, I had to admire him. He'd broken the cycle. Realizing I was going to have to make do with Quessie's contribution, I turned my focus back to the road. I hadn't even driven for 1/10 of a mile before there was a clicking sound, a hiss, and then the car filled with something other than our laughter and music. I sniffed the air. Shit. Tell me that's not what the fuck I think it is. Depends on what you think it is. I glanced in my rearview mirror at Crush just in time to see him take a long hit from the blunt he was caressing between his fingers. What the hell? I shouted. I know you're not smoking that shit in my car. Yo, stop being such a pussy. Ain't nobody gonna harm your precious leather. Crush took another hit of the blunt. I'm not worried about the leather, I'm worried about jail, I said. Whatever. Crush snapped his head in my direction and gave me a serious look in the rearview mirror. Crush was what you might call a wannabe thug. He got good grades in school, but he dressed and acted like a gangbanger, despite coming from a middle-class Queens home. It's weed, bro, not heroin. Ain't nobody gonna throw us in jail over a blunt. Yeah, don't get your panties in a bunch, Lang, Tony added, reaching his hand back for Crush to hand him the blunt. Once again, the peanut gallery in the back seat thought the wannabe comedian to my right was hysterical. Y'all laughing and shit, but I'm serious. We're 4 black guys riding around in an expensive vehicle smoking weed. You don't think anything is wrong with that picture? I couldn't have been the only smart one in a group of 4 college students. Impossible. We're a racist cop's dream. Man, fuck the police. Ain't nobody scared of them racist bastards, Crush shouted. He does have a point, Lang, Tony said in Crush's defense. Don't nobody care about weed anymore. Just drive the damn car. I thought about their argument that marijuana wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like it was heroin or anything. It was a blunt. We all have a blunt now and then. Maybe I was being a little dramatic, as Tony would say. But hell, I was the son of a lawyer and judge, and the sibling of 2 lawyers. Being dramatic ran in my blood. On the flip side of